Hey everyone, this is David Brown.
And this is Kim Steininger.
And today we birded at Bombay Hook.
Yay!
Bombay Hook National Wildlife Refuge is located in Kent County, Delaware, along the Delaware Bay, and is considered one of the top birding sites in Delaware. We arrived around 6:15 a.m., and I hadn't been to Bombay Hook since February, so I was really excited to catch up on some of the summer birds there. The biggest change since my last visit was that they tore down the old visitor center, which used to be right here. But this beautiful new visitor center was built to replace it. Directly across from the visitor center, there's an active purple martin colony. We started the driving loop and made our way around to the first pool, which is known as Raymond Pool, and the water level is really low right now. Right away, we were serenaded by the loud calls of willets, which are large shorebirds with a distinctive white stripe to the upper wing. The willets that we have this time of year that are nesting here are the eastern willets, but at other times of year, we will also see the western willets migrating through. I was really happy to see these juvenile Virginia rails. We had a total of 7 juveniles, and some of them were even smaller than these, and we also had 1 adult. There were quite a few egrets hanging out, and you can see there's one larger one and then a bunch of smaller ones. The larger egret is a great egret. Notice the yellow bill and also black legs with black feet. The smaller egrets are snowy egrets. You can see a black bill, some yellow to the face, a bit of a plume to the head, and black legs, but they have yellow feet, or yellow slippers they're sometimes called. So a lot of times you'll see that in flight to help identify them. There was a group of around 250 semi-palmated sandpipers that were feeding. Here we see one of them on the right. And whenever we have a large group like that, we're always scanning through to try to pick out anything different. And take a look at this bird here on the left. We notice that it's slightly larger. And if we look at the rear of the bird, it just looks a little bit more elongated. These are actually the wingtips of the bird. We can see it has these very long wings, so it's quite a different shape than the more short rear of the semi-palmated sandpiper. It just looks more stretched out. And we also see it has some really fine streaking here to the upper breast. So this bird is actually a white-rumped sandpiper, and we found 3 of them today. So it's something that we sometimes get in small numbers at certain times of year, but it's always a special bird to see. Here we have a large raptor, dark overall with some splotchy white, especially here in the wing pit area. We see a really large head and bill. This is a juvenile bald eagle. And the shorebirds weren't too happy about the eagle flying so close, so they took off. These are predominantly, or perhaps all, semi-palmated sandpipers, and notice how brown they look on the top side. And compare that to their underside, which is much more white. We had a few other shorebirds mixed in. Here we see a shorebird that's slightly larger than the semi-palmated sandpipers with a longer decurved bill, and we see some black to the underside. This is a dunlin. Here's the upper side of the same dunlin. You can see they're kind of rufous to the back, and they have a pretty bold white stripe to the wings. Here we have another shorebird, but this is not a sandpiper, but rather this is a semi-palmated plover. Take a look at the bird in the center of this photo. All of the surrounding birds are semi-palmated sandpipers. This bird in the center is slightly larger, and what do we see? We see a white rump. So this is the white-rumped sandpiper. And if you look at all the semi-palmated sandpipers, they have a dark stripe that cuts through that white, but the white-rumped sandpiper does not have that, so that's a good way to pick them out in flight. Here's a larger shorebird with a thick straight bill and some white down the back. This is a short-billed dowitcher. We continued the driving loop and stopped at the south end of Sheerness Pool. Here we have a mama wood duck with a couple of her kids. You can't go to Bombay Hook in the summer without taking at least one photo of an osprey. If there's anything the photographers love to take photos of at Bombay Hook, it's great blue herons and ospreys. And here's some teenage Canada geese. As I was scanning along the back edge of the pool, I spotted the pair of sandhill cranes that have been hanging around for the last year or more. I'm sure everyone else in Delaware is already tired of seeing laughing gulls, but they were actually my first for the year. Here's a seaside sparrow, which is common to hear and see in the summer, but this is a very typical view. They don't seem to come in close. Here's something you probably didn't expect. This is a black swan, and this bird's been hanging out for a month or more, and ththese are native to Australia, so this bird is probably just an escapee. Here's the view from the daily overlook, which is about halfway up Sheerness. And again, the water level is really low. A lot of times, all of this middle section here will be covered in water, and it's just scattered vegetation. The highlight was a pair of black-necked stilts nesting. Here you can see one sitting on the nest. We also had a group of 3 glossy ibis fly by. We also saw some red foxes. These look like 2 young ones playing around. We continued around to the Bear Swamp pool. Here's a look at the habitat. A lot of times you'll see birds along the edges here, and there's also a few small islands that you'll see shorebirds and terns and gulls roosting on. Here we have another eastern willet, and remember that willet is in the Tringa genus along with the greater and lesser yellowlegs. So they kind of have that same look as the yellowlegs do, but they have a really thick bill and their legs aren't yellow. And it had 2 cute fluffball baby willets with it. Here we have a bird that's dark blue with some chestnut highlights to the wings and a very thick bill. This is a blue grosbeak, and this is a species that I really enjoy seeing because most of the other places I live throughout the year, we don't see this species, so it's always a treat to come down here to Delaware and get really nice looks at them. Someone told us the general area where there was a least bittern nest, and we weren't able to find the nest, but we did get to see 2 least bitterns flying. Here we have a flycatcher perched up high on a branch. This is an eastern wood pewee. Next, we made a stop at the Beaver pond, and we found 2 adult yellow-crowned night herons perched in the trees. Here's a male brown-headed cowbird looking a bit iridescent in the light. And here's a green heron with his neck really stretched out. Heading down towards Finnis Pool, we had this brown thrasher perch up. We looped around and checked Raymond Pool again, and there were 3 American avocets. And check out how upcurved the bill is on this one. We felt like we had covered Bombay Hook pretty well, and we still had some time to bird, so we headed to this nearby retention pond. This spot has become famous in recent years for having a flock of black-bellied whistling ducks, and today there were 17 of them there. This is a species that seems to be wandering more in recent years, so it will be interesting to see if they become more and more common. Here we have one walking down the middle of the street. We decided to bird our way up Route 9, and we stopped at this bridge. It was a quick and easy stop because right away we found our target, which was the nesting cliff swallows. You can see the light-colored forehead and orange rump. As we continued up Route 9, I spotted this adult little blue heron flying out over a field. We took a quick run down Staves Landing Road, which is a spot we like to hit in the winter, and the main highlight was really nice looks at this dragonfly, which I believe is a Needham's skimmer. Next, we paused at Greer's Pond, which is along the south side of the C&D Canal, and we heard least bittern. We had really nice looks at another dragonfly. iNaturalist identified this one as a blue dasher. We had been driving around looking for western cattle egrets, and we spotted some cows, so that was a good sign. We took a closer look, and sure enough, there were a total of 4 cattle egrets. I like this photo because you have the egret, you have the habitat, you have the cow, and you can really see the orange highlights on the breeding plumage birds. If I ever stop being a hawkwatch counter, I know my next career. We had a total of 79 species from Bombay Hook today, and in total for the day we had 88 species. Looking at the map, you can see our general route, starting at Bombay Hook, then going across for the whistling ducks, and then working our way back up Route 9, heading back towards Wilmington. All right, a really great day of birding. I'm glad to be back here in Delaware, and especially glad to be able to bird Bombay Hook once again. I got a bunch of new Delaware yearbirds today, and it was a really beautiful day to be out birding. We have some really hot weather coming up here, and I'm sure a lot of you do also. So everyone stay safe, drink water, and get out birding early so you don't have to be out there in the heat of the day. From Lyco Birds, this is David Brown. Thanks for watching.